Namaskar.
Thank you very much again. We are very happy. So, how should we start? Should I just start right away with the questions?
Right, that's better. We save time.
Okay. So, what is the best, fullest definition of liberation? How does liberation play out in the physical body? Is the Christ body and liberation the same? If not, what are the attributes of the Christ body?
Okay, so welcome back to this meeting. This is a pretty deep question, so I don't know how to go about this and finish in 1 hour all the questions that are going to come, but then they are important questions. So, let us start with the word liberation. You know, liberation from the Indian context of the word, the liberation, when you say liberate, it is an English word, it means to liberate, to be free, to not be bound. From the Indian context, there are 3 words usually used for liberation, because I can speak only from that context, and then we will connect to the general. In Vedanta, liberation is defined by the word moksha. Now, moksha means to be free, totally free, not bound by any conditionings whatsoever. That the body, that the mind of the liberated person is no longer conditioned by the world which is seen through the 5 sense organs. Plus, there is no conditioning of the mind of a liberated person to say that someone is from this country or that country or belongs to this group or that group. When a person is liberated, he says all humanity as one. Apart from the fact that moksha means one is no more caught by prejudices, and one lives in an eternal peace which cannot be disturbed by the pulls and pressures of your daily life. You lead a daily life, you can't escape anywhere, you can't run away to a cave, but you live here, but you live like a lotus which grows in the mud, in the muddy water. But if you put a drop of water on the lotus, it usually falls off, but it lives in water. The great Sufi saint Jalaluddin Rumi said, it is like a liberated man, is like the sugar cane that grows in the dirty mud, but you get sweet juice out of it when it comes out from the top. So, this is moksha, freedom. Now, the Buddhist terminology, the word for moksha is nirvana. Now, nirvana again means blowing out of all the gross anger, desires, the selfishness and so on of a human being. It is not nothing. People have a wrong impression that nirvana means nothing, because in Buddhism it is defined as shunya, means nothing. But shunya does not mean nothing, it means no thing. It is not a thing. It that which cannot be defined, from which everything comes and everything goes back. So, that cannot be nothing. It is a no thing, yes, I understand. So, it is the snuffing out of all the crude thoughts and all the selfish, self-centered thoughts of the mind. One is free, and Buddha is defined as freedom from sorrow for all mankind, remember the word, not for Indians or Chinese or Japanese or anybody of that, or Europeans. So, this is nirvana. Now, there is another word used in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, in the Yoga Darshanas. You know that there are 6 darshanas in India, and out of which one is the Yoga Darshana. Yoga Darshana, the word used for moksha, liberation, nirvana is Kaivalya. Now, the word kaivalya is from the root kevalam, means only, which means when one discards all the dualities and there is only one thing left, which is the consciousness in its original state. Now, that state when the yogi experiences, when his mind is free of all distractions, all the vrittis, chitta vritti nirodha is the definition in yoga, which means when all the vrittis are distractions and all the opposing emotions have all been disposed of, when the mind is clear and calm and quiet, then one understands that there is only one reality, consciousness. Well, in yoga and Sankhya, it is called Purusha. In Vedanta, it is called the Brahman. Well, it does not matter. I think these are only merely the words that are different. It is where you are in complete solitude, but you are in this world. It is a difficult thing to explain this. But you are in this world, but actually you realize that everybody is alone. There is only one. There is no different. And you and I are not so different. We are the same. Now, this understanding, which is usually accompanied by so much blissfulness, that any other little happiness that we have in this world is nothing in comparison to this bliss. Okay, that is one side. Okay, the other side which you said about this, whether there is a change in the body. Well, if you are approaching liberation, freedom, moksha, kaivalya, nirvana through yogic means, not Vedanta is one thing, but through yogic means, something happens in the system where an energy in us, which in all human beings, man or woman, which is usually not manifest, let us say energy which is dormant, not active in all human beings. I do not want to use the word for that in the tantric context, because today you see ads where you can arouse this energy for $3,000. So, I do not want to use that word, it has become cheap. So, well, if lifetime of work one gets to that, when one does, then this energy transforms your mind, purifies your mind, takes away all the dross, and we also believe that it does in some way change even the very cells of the human body. You see, the cells are not independent beings. The cells have a nucleus, they have intelligence, they have consciousness, but they do not have consciousness like us, which is they are not aware of their consciousness, but there is consciousness, they are live, they are not. So, when this energy becomes active in the sushumna, as we call it in yoga, it distributes itself through the different nadis into the cells. So, the cells also in some way, not entirely, but in some way change. They are no more the cells which were there before. They are the same entities, but there is a change in them. So, just as I change or my body, my mind changes, in the same way my physical biological body also undergoes some change, and that change also in some way takes care of the does the work of an antioxidant, let us say. Now, this is only when you approach it through the yogic manner, not through other ways. In the yogic manner, because you go by purifying the body, purifying the cell, purifying the mind, and then going. So, usually you will find that the body and the mind of a person who has approached, or let us say touched the hem of the garment of truth, let us put it humbly, has changed. The cells have changed, there is some change in them, there is joy, there is liveliness. It does not allow too many, I will not say viruses, because we are going through a difficult phase, people might take it wrongly. So, it does bring about a change in the cells, there is no question about it. Then you asked me about the Christ body, it was a long question. Well, from my understanding, what I have learnt, and also through understanding which I have derived through my master, who was from the Himalayas. The Christ who you describe as a human identity, looking like a human identity, is someone who is actually in human form, but is consciousness descended to a material vehicle. If Christ, you said body of Christ, so I am saying, if the person who we refer to as Christ, if he was born in India, suppose, then he would not be the son of God, but would be one of the gods that you see here. Why one step down? Even though he said father and son are one, but you know what I mean. So here is a spiritual individual. Now I want to, I am sorry stretching this question, it was a long question, so I need to, apart from the established church, I am not saying anything for or against church, I am just saying apart from the existing church, the organized church, I think in early Christianity there were the Gnostics, there were the other Christians who, before it became organized into a church. You know, when it gets organized, normally, usually there are problems. It happens anywhere, even in Hinduism, it gets organized, it's finished. So, but we need organization to work. I mean, I agree. We have a Satsang foundation, you can't work without a label, you can't do alone. Anyway, so but there are problems. Now suppose we are thinking of the early Christians, the Gnostics, even before, who depend on the Pistis Sophia or some of these textbooks. One thing to understand, you must have all seen the cross and Jesus on the cross and so on. Now, even before the time of this so-called Jesus Christ, the son of Joseph, there have been traditionally symbolisms by which a human being is crucified, not only here but also before. And here the crucifixion is of the base nature, so that the pure essence. If you look on the top of the cross, you will find 4 letters. It says JNRJ, which means they say that the Romans were making fun of Jesus Christ. So they put up the saying, Jesus Nazareth Rex Judarum, Jesus the King of Jews. But from the Gnostics' point of view, from the mystic Christian stream, it actually means, you know, in the Latin language, I and J can be substituted. It need not be this. You see, J is I and I is J, same. So, we think, or they think, that it's not J and R J, but I and R I in re. Now, I and R I, if you open up the definitions, would mean igne natura renovat integra. That means igne, fire, ignition. Can't start a car without the ignition. I think the igne comes from the old Sanskrit word agni, igne. So, igne, fire, which represents the spirit, natura, nature, prakriti, this world, this body, physical body. So, this spirit or the fire or the spirit in this body, renovat, integra, renewed and integrated together. This is the Christ. An integration of the spirit and the physical body, where the spirit is unusually more active than ordinary human bodies. So, when such a body, so the word Christos means consciousness. So, if a yogi or if I don't know what to say, if a sage has touched that liberation, then from our point of view, even part or most of his body has also been turned into Christos, into consciousness, which means the consciousness is more active also in the little cells of the body. Although in most cases the body dies after a while, but it makes no difference to the individual because he is not identified with the body. And there have been some cases, very rare, where the body continues if there is some work to be done. This is the body of Christ from my understanding. I think that's the end of the question.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
So one of them is, Dear Shriyam, can we connect to you as a guru and ask for guidance and blessings even though we haven't physically met and got initiated by you? Then the second one, can we ask Sri Guru and also your teacher Babaji for help in our spiritual search? If so, what is the best way to do that? And one more in this topic, does Sri Mahavatar Babaji still exist in the Himalayas? And is there anything we can do to connect to his presence for our spiritual progress?
All the three are difficult questions. The previous questions were not so difficult, but this is personal, so they become a little difficult. Look, I have no objection to take on someone who is really, I am sure this in this group, I think there are very serious people, I agree, I am not denying that. However, some may need guidance, some may not need guidance, that is also there. Some people might be already on a path and must have moved forward. I know some people, yes. So, they may not need my guidance, I do not think. However, if they, even such people decide that they need some guidance, I would be a good friend, yes. I do not mind being a good friend, and unfortunately internet hasn't advanced enough to offer you a cup of coffee from here and it reaches there. Maybe in the future this might happen, we do not know. So, well, I would like to be a good friend who had some experience in this. Who is this little one looking up from there? And then is there a little boy there or a girl there who wants some help? Yes, right. So, well, if we had met at that age, it would have been great, but we didn't. So, whatever. So, I'm ready to be a friend and I'm ready to guide you. So, because I'm saying this because the word guru becomes very, very serious. If you say, can you take us up as your disciple or you become guru, see, then your entire responsibility is on my shoulders. I do not know if I am ready to do that, already my shoulders are stooped because of various responsibilities, but I would be a good friend. We can move along. It will take some time for you to figure out if I am really suitable for you, and it will take some time for me to figure out if you need my guidance or somebody else's guidance. Please, I am not against that also. There is nothing wrong with that. So, for the present, let us be good friends, and even this, in India we are going through a second wave of the pandemic. We are expecting a third one to come, also not only here but in other parts of the world. So, but then this will also pass, because when the Spanish flu came, so many million people died, but then we bounced back. So, we would bounce back. There is this human system is such that it will come back. So, when it happens, I think it would be a good idea to meet you all actually, That would be much better than, you know, on the internet and all that. But as of now, yes, you can keep in touch with me, and I will do my best to guide you from my experience, whatever I know, without turning you into converts into Sri M. You know what I mean? There's no need of any conversion business here. So that's fine. I think that is good. The second question, whether it's possible to pray to or get help from Sri Guru Babaji. Well, in our tradition, Mahavatar Babaji is actually called Sri Guru Babaji. The word Mahavatar Babaji was actually coined by Yogananda Paramahamsa when he wrote the autobiography. Before that, we didn't know of such a word. He said that because many avatars have come and gone, and this one is there for a long time, so Maha was used, means great avatar. But for thousands of years, we had known of the existence, the rishis have known of the existence of this great being, and he is referred to as Sri Guru. In fact, Sri Guru Bhyo Namaha is the mantra used in many ancient texts. It does not mean only Guru, it also means Sri Guru. It means also Babaji. The other word used is Nityanath, which means a Nath who exists forever. At least now, compared to the short cycles of time, Nitya. There is nothing Nitya actually, everything is Anitya. So, is there a possibility of getting help? Yes, there is. As far as Maheshwarnath Babaji is concerned, well, he had a human body and he attained samadhi, but maybe you can still reach him. But as far as Sri Guru Babaji is concerned, we do not believe that he has a human body. It is a being which has acquired for itself a certain appearance and a certain body to help us, basically spiritually. So, if that is so, that being does not mind which denomination you are from or what you are approaching, help into the spiritual field till you attain liberation, that is it. So, in that case, yes, we understand that Sri Guru Babaji can be linked to anyone as long as they believe such a being exists and they connect their minds to that being. And we have been given a Guru mantra, which in the olden days I kept it very secret, but then I was then told to broadcast it. So, you can find it on YouTube, you can find it is a very simple mantra. This is Sri Guru Babaji's mantra. It simply is Om Hreem. When I say Hreem, it is, if you write in English, it is HREEM. Om Hreem Shri. Shri is like SRI. Guru Bhyo Namaha. Om Hreem Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Now, this is the Guru mantra of Sri Guru Babaji, Mahavatar Babaji, whatever you want to call it, or just Babaji. So, Om Hreem Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha is the mantra given to us. So, I think you can chant it. How do we chant it? Well, in our tradition, we visualize a white lotus in the heart center, in the anahat. When I say heart, not this heart, but this heart center, anahat. And there on the white lotus we place a pair of footwear. We call it padukas in India. A footwear which we visualize as the footwear of the Supreme Babaji, of Sri Guru. And then keeping it there, we touch it, we visualize that we are touching it. And then we chant this mantra with closed eyes, Om Hreem Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. So, this is the mantra. So, all of you can use the mantra. There is a little bit of a, what you call a extra advantage of the mantra, is that while it is basically used for spiritual purposes, you may also, in case of emergencies, or all human beings have, we are human beings, we have our own emergencies, you can always put your hand and ask for help. just chant a few times Om Hrim Shri Gurubhyo Namaha and say, please, I am at the end of my tether, do something, please. And treat this not like some far away being, but someone who lives in your own heart, very intimate, like your own soul. Yes, this can be done. The last question is among all the questions you asked is a rather serious question, and I personally and people in our tradition believe that Sri Guru Babaji still exists in the Himalayas. Now when I say Himalayas, it doesn't mean that it's always sitting there in some cave or like that. That is his favorite spot where he moves. However, there is no place where Sri Guru Babaji is not there if he wants. Please understand this. So don't think that I have to find him, so I have to go to the Himalayas. Even Uttarakhand, the COVID is very high now. The last count yesterday was 6,000. Uttarakhand is where the Himalayas are. May not be in the upper Himalayas, but down there in the foothills. So don't think I have to go all the way up there and find Babaji. If you keep chanting the mantra of Sri Guru, and if you really have the earnest desire, then Sri Guru, since Babaji has his own way of revealing himself to you, which I cannot say how or what. I can't say that because it's outside my capacity to say anything on this. But even if you don't see him, his presence is assured if you continue to have devotion towards this being and continue to chant the mantra and try to lead a good life and try to help as many people as possible and become a little less self-centered than we usually are. I am sure the heart of Babaji melts when such people live and he is there for you. Whether you see him physically or not, I cannot say anything on this matter. I am not discouraging you from going into the Himalayas. I am only saying that it is not so much physically required to do this. It is more the mind that matters. And if that happens, Babaji is with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next question. Is incarnation where one will eventually realize the truth predestinated? For sure will happen in that particular incarnation? Or is potential of self-realization latent in every incarnation and can happen spontaneously in any of them?
When you say incarnation, what do you mean exactly there? Because normally…
Well, I assume having a physical body.
Oh, okay. A manifestation and a physical body, because when you say the word incarnation, it usually denotes a divine being who has attained a physical body. That is what it normally means, incarnation. So, can you repeat the question now, please?
Sure. Is incarnation where one eventually realizes the truth predestinated, so for sure will happen in that particular incarnation, or is potential of self-realization latent in every incarnation and can happen spontaneously in any of them?
I would go with the second point. Liberation or realization is there potent, it's there in a hidden way in every individual, and it can happen at any time. Nobody can say this is the time it's going to happen. And regarding lives, past lives, all of us have so many past lives. The only difference, like Krishna says in the Gita to Arjuna, you and I have gone through many lives. The only difference, you don't know and I know. I am not saying that. What I am trying to say is that all of us have passed through, from my understanding. I can't prove it to you, can't put it in a test tube, sorry, but we have all passed through many, many lives, many lives. We don't know it probably. Some may know some lives, not all, that's also possible. So, having passed through many lives, a stage comes when the mind has become mature and it has seen everything and decided, no, this is not what is required. It takes many lives perhaps to become mature. But then you can't say that one person has gone through many lives and others haven't. This we cannot say. So who knows among you how many have become mature? I can't say it. Now, when the mind becomes mature, then because there is a potential in every soul for freedom, for liberation, the conditions that are necessary for that come together somehow, and then there it happens. When I say it happens spontaneously, I am not saying that it happens like suddenly you are illumined. It is not that way. One works towards it, and at some point one decides that now I have worked enough, I have finished, I am quiet, and then it happens. All the effort that is required takes place over many lives. And in this life, some people, while they are still young, are interested only in that. Because they have seen through, they are mature souls, they have seen through, and they know that liberation is necessary to get out of this fix. So there are, now they also need to try. You need to try till you actually through experience understand the fact that however much you do all kinds of acrobatics with your mind, it's only when the mind calms down and becomes quiet that realization is possible. But all effort is required. In the end you will let go, but before you let go you need to put in a lot of effort. So the Zen teachers give a beautiful example of archery, where if you need to shoot at a target, let us call the target liberation, for the as a manner of speaking, yes, this is a target, that is liberation, and I am standing here and I know I have to hit it. I have my bow and I have my arrow. What do I do? Now, to fix the arrow on the string has to be at the right tuning. If it is too slack, the arrow is not going. Sadhana, practice. If it is too tight, the arrow is not going. It will break when you pull. So this is called the middle path, which the Buddha talked about. So in this, the mind has to be properly balanced and tuned, which is all the spiritual practices are about. Okay. Then you put your arrow, which is your mind, one pointed mind, onto this string of prepared meditation where you have gone through, and then you pull it out. It does not break because it is of the right frequency and it is not slack, so the arrow is properly fixed, and then you keep the target, your eyes and the tip of the arrow in one line. I don't know if there are archers among you, you know, in one line, and then you pull. Okay. Now you see everything together, and for a second you do not breathe. We call it keval kumbhak in yoga. You do not breathe, because if you breathe, it is gone, that whole thing for the time. So you hold it there, and then what happens if you want to hit the target? Do you keep holding it tight or do you let go? You let go. When you let go, the arrow hits the target. So all the preparation that we do is that archery, and in the end you let go of the mind, which is saying I have to go there, I have not, all these things that come up, and then you hit the target. So this is what I mean by spontaneous. It can happen, or yes, it may also happen in the presence of somebody who has touched it. This is possible. At least you get a whiff of it or a taste of it, so that your mind is then saying, okay, I have to find it fully in the presence of someone. Now this is called Shaktipat. No, it's not as if I sit there consciously and give you, no, it is when there is a magnet which is full of magnetism, large magnet, and there is an iron piece or iron pieces close to it. As you go closer, the iron pieces also become magnets. So all the training that we do is basically to rub off the rust on the pieces, the rust. So you keep, then when there is rust, there is no magnetism, it's a barrier. You clear all the rust, and then the magnet, the small piece sticks to the magnet, because, and then when you take it out, it's still a magnet. So in the beginning, the piece might require a big magnet to get magnetic. After a while, you do the process of a permanent magnet, where there is a central cavity, and there is this copper wire wound 3.5 times around, and you pass the electricity through it, and then it becomes a permanent magnet. I am talking about that energy which I do not want to name. So, so when this could happen in two ways. One is, I discussed it, with the archery and so on, when the soul has become mature. The other is in the presence of someone who has touched it. There is a lot of energy which, if you are ready to receive and you agree to receive, goes in, and then you have the first whiff or the taste of it. Then you need to work again to reach there permanently. I think this is about all I can say at the moment about this.
Amazing. Thanks a lot.
Good questions, I am telling you, good questions, well thought of. Okay.
There are 4 main nadis through which kundalini arise: sushumna, chitrani, vajra, and brahmani. Can kundalini merge with bindu and complete its process towards Jivan mukta, regardless of the nadi she chooses to enter?
No. While you can feel different stages of what we may call enlightenment, different stages, different levels of consciousness, of course not ordinary but higher levels. When the energy, when we call it kula kundalini, when that kula kundalini, that energy, primordial energy, we also call it Shakti, Devi, it's well, for your information, it is feminine. So when it moves through the chitrani or brahmani or whatever, it's only when it moves through the sushumna properly, to the central sushumna, that the yogis accept in Laya Yoga as a culmination of your liberation. Even when it moves through the other nadis which are close to it, one's consciousness does expand, and one may acquire capacities which are not normal, and one may experience great deal of bliss, true, but ultimately it has to move, the bindu has to go through the sushumna, and through the sushumna go through the 6 chakras, shat chakras, and reach the 7th, which is the sahasrara. Only when this happens that the Shakti has met Shiva, the Lord who sits in the sahasrara. So while it's okay to have the kundalini go through the different nadis, not Ida Pingala, chitrani, brahmanadi and so on, which is very close to the sushumna, It's only when the sushumna nadi is activated and it goes through that the ultimate aim of yoga is achieved.
Thank you. What makes the Indian subcontinent so prolific in terms of spirituality? Why India and not some other regions?
Today, I am so sorry to say this, but today COVID has become very prolific in India. Terrible. We are passing through a terrible wave. So, of course, we are spiritual. So, why is this happening to us? Well, that's a different question. We kind of know why, but the reason is when the rest of the world, most of the rest of the world, I am not saying that there are not divine beings in other parts of the world. There have been divine beings, there have been great sages, but most people, the general population of the other countries, when they were engaged in how to attain material success and how to technologically advance and the industrial revolution and so on and so forth, in this part of the country, it's probably because of the environment, because of the Himalayas, because of great beings who are there, people were engaged more in spiritual exploration. Therefore, naturally, when one is engaged in spiritual exploration for so many thousands of years, it becomes normal for having many spiritual teachers and manifestations of divinity in this country. That is why it is not as if that there are no such divine beings in other countries. If they are, some are known, some are unknown, most are unknown. It is not like that. However, I can say that in India it is this way because most of the people, the sages, were engaged more in exploring the mind and the soul than industrial revolution or technological advancement and so on. So, therefore, naturally the results were there. But the Shastras also say that whether it is India or any part of the world, this period we are passing through called Kali Yuga, spirituality is at a low ebb everywhere, even here. But when this passes and the next Yuga comes, then you will see many more bright gems come out of this. But there are always some centers of spiritual awakening in India as well as in other countries to balance the effect of Kali Yuga. Without that, we would have been destroyed long ago. It is not the soldiers who are doing it, but the sages who are doing it. Through peace, through goodwill. You know the famous statement in the Vedas? It does not refer only to this particular geographical location. It says, Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu, may the entire world be happy. It might have come from here, this particular statement, mantra, but it applies to the entire world. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, may the whole world be happy. So, yes, true. The reason being that while people were engaged in other activities, the sages here were engaged in exploring the spiritual. So, we have the results. But that does not mean that all people in India are spiritual, please. Not true. Just as anywhere else in the world, there are all kinds of people everywhere, because the three gunas of sattva, rajas and tamas affect every human being. And just because somebody is involved in a ritual or comes from a certain tradition, it does not mean the person is spiritually evolved. Please understand this. I know people in the West who have no tradition, who have not in any of this, but who are very good people. I think they are very spiritual people. Also.
Thank you very much. how can I be a better of service to the world?
I think we should start with ourselves and try to remove the layers of self-centeredness bit by bit. It's not easy, you can't do it in a day. When you do that, then automatically you would know how to help someone who is in dire straits. The mind opens up. Now, if one is really spiritual, then one realizes that the same spark of the divine which is in me is also in others. Whether that person knows it or does not know doesn't matter. This spark can't be only in me. Maybe in me it's revealed to myself, in others it may not, but it's there. One sees it. Therefore, every living being, also human being, is a walking, speaking, talking temple of God, of the spark, of the divine spark. Therefore, due respect should be given to everyone, and therefore, if you see a church or a temple demolished, you should try to build it up again. This becomes a spiritual duty for me, because I see the spark which is there as the center of worship in a structure called the human body, the human temple, is in bad shape. So, I should put it in order. It is my duty to do that. It comes naturally. So, the best thing to do, you don't have to have a huge charitable organization doing things. You know how charitable organizations do things? After building a hospital, they put up a big plaque, donated by so and so. That doesn't appeal to me. When you do something, do it quietly, silently. If I quote the words of Jesus Christ in the Bible, let not the left hand know what the right hand giveth. And blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. So, to make peace, to do good to others, even not depending on an organization, individually, is the best way to start helping others. It could be very simple. You first help your neighbor. Forget about the rest of the world. Help your neighbor. There are people who are presidents of huge charitable organizations who have never heard a hungry cry of a child next door. What kind of charity is that? So, when the heart becomes active and when you feel for all and you want to do good to them, this is the right way to approach. It can be a very simple thing, very, very simple. In India, we have a saying that to feed a hungry mouth is better than doing 10 years of tapasya. So, it's not as if the hungry and the homeless are only in India. In India, many monks deliberately became homeless and left. But in the West, homeless is a terrible word. You don't have an address, so you don't have a social security, you are in trouble. So, there are, in your own countries, wherever you come from, there are many people who are homeless, there are many people who are sick, there are many people. So, to start working even with your neighbor next door is good work. It could be anything. Okay, even if you can't give anything, a sweet word is very valuable. So, I've seen this, even in my country I've seen this. You stop the car somewhere, there are beggars coming and begging, knocking on the window pane. Now, you don't want to give, you don't give. You don't have to shout and curse at them. They're human beings. Which human being would put out his hand without dignity unless he is so troubled? Well, there are organized gangs, that's a different matter. I am saying what really. So, cultivate this kindness towards others, which is the best charity you can do to anybody, and whatever you can do. That is my understanding. I am sorry, beyond that I can't say anything.
Not too much time and so many questions. And I was wondering whether we can maybe 5 minutes meditate a bit at the end.
We have we have 10 minutes more.
Yes, I know.
and I don't mind. We can have another session. I said we can be friends, so don't worry. We can have another session. Keep your questions in reserve. Don't worry about that.
I keep them. Don't worry about that either.
So, if you have any question which we can do in this 10 minutes, and the last 2 minutes we will do silent meditation, just quiet meditation.
Well, why not this one? How does one overcome the fear of death?
If any rational person is afraid of death, you cannot overcome it. You can be completely free of that. You can divert your mind, of course, and say, oh, who cares, death is going to come later, and so on. But any serious, logical, reasonable person knows that death will come at some point or the other, and so therefore they are afraid of death. As long as it doesn't become an obsession, it is all right. It's actually very practical to be fearful of death. Death is going to come anyway. But as long as it doesn't become an obsession and you get up in the morning and say, oh, I am going to die in the evening, this is a psychological problem now. But that universal factor that death is going to come, nobody can say no to that. Yes, it shouldn't become an obsession. And the only way to be totally free of death is to understand that in you is an immortal being that does not die. It's the body that dies. There is no other way out. That's the only way. You can divert. You can. Some people. One person actually told me, "I'm so afraid that I'm going to die. Every morning I get up. I say, today evening I might die." So I said, "What are you doing about it?" He said, "I'm drinking whiskey." Is that a solution? So that I am diverted from that thought. I said, but then again in the morning I feel, so I said, what does your whiskey doesn't seem to do any good to you. So you can't forget the facts which are there, but you can handle it in such a way that it doesn't become an obsession. Part 1. Part 2, the only way to be free of this is to explore if there is some element in me that will not die. Explore. You don't have to accept. And there are various streams of thought which say, yes, there is something in you which doesn't end with the bodily death. Either it reincarnates or it goes to heaven or hell or whatever. But there is an element in me that is not physical and it cannot die. And that element is common to all human beings. So, once you start thinking on that, then things change. Even if you start exploring. And the second thing that one can think of is that death does not come only to me. Hundreds of people die every day. So why am I only caught up with my death? You see, I don't know if you've been to Banaras. There is a burning ghat in Banaras called Manikarnika. I like to go and sit there just like that on a bench. And hundreds of bodies come there to be burnt on the funeral fire. And then you realize, hey, I am not an exception. One day I will also come here. So what? So go and eat some pan in the pan shop. why are you brooding over it? There's nothing. You know what I mean? But then now I know that there is something in me which doesn't die with the body. I have understood that. So start exploring this fact and be happy that you are okay and alive till now. Be gracious and thankful to whatever or whoever. But I am here and I am happy.
Thank you. Do we have time for one more question or?
One more question, yes.
So, why do core Kriya Yoga exercises practice pranayama instead of up the spine, up in front and down the spine?
I didn't get that because, well, what is core Kriya? In all Kriya Yoga techniques, there is pranayama. Yes. Now, depending on the school of Kriya, there are techniques in which you, in any case, the pranayama takes the prana up and down. Along with the prana, it takes the bindu up and down. Now, in some schools, it goes straight up the sushumna to the sahasrara and goes down to the muladhara. In some schools of Kriya, the bindu, the prana is lifted up from here, taken to the sahasrara, brought down to the ajna and brought out and then back again, like a rosary. So, there are, the teacher who taught you has to say which is good for you. There is no contradiction in this, but pranayama is essential because it is only through pranayama that the Ida Pingala is balanced and the sushumna is open. The only question is whether you take the bindu up and down the sushumna or whether you go up and come out and then go back. Both are okay. It depends on what is your situation and how the teacher has asked you to do it. It does not matter really.
Thank you so much. So, should we just sit and...
We can also sit down for 5 minutes. Chant Om 3 times together and then close your eyes and watch your breath going up and down or in and out, whichever way you want to, or chant the Guru mantra Om Hrim Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, whichever you would want to do, depends on you. So, first we sit, we close our eyes and we chant Om 3 times together. I am going to start. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace. Yes, so thank you very much, Irina, and all the people who were here. Thanks a lot. Nice to have met you again. So we'll meet again sometime. Huh? Thank you. It was very nice. A serious group of people. I'm glad. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time and kindness.
Most welcome.
Thank you, Shri M.
Thank you.